Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. Thank you to Pop-Kultur for inviting us. My name is Selma, and this is Catherine. We both work at iMusician, a digital music distributor based here in Berlin. And today we are going to talk about one of the main issues, main challenges artists are facing, which is how to get your music played on Spotify. But before jumping into the main topic, I would like to ask first who in this audience has downloaded a song on iTunes in the last 6 months? You can raise your hand. Oh, a lot, quite a lot. Okay, and now who has streamed a song on Spotify in the last 6 months? Okay, almost everybody. So I think for those who were maybe a bit skeptical, this is we have a quite representative audience today to show why it's essential to be on Spotify for independent artists. To quickly introduce the platform, Spotify was created 10 years ago in Sweden by Daniel Ek. It reached this year more than 83 million paying users, and its catalog is above 35 million songs, which makes it one of the biggest monetized catalog on all streaming platforms. And approximately 60,000 new songs are added every day on Spotify. And these songs are mixed into more than 2 billion playlists. For those who were a bit interested in the recent news, the platform also made its debut on New York stock market in April, and the company valuation is now about $30 billion, and it's growing very fast. Interesting facts. 60% of Spotify users are listening to music on their smartphone, and 80% of them are already engaged into other activities such as dancing, working, sleeping sometimes. So that can be important to bear in mind, especially when we're going to talk about the playlist strategy a bit later. Now, if we want to compare Spotify with other streaming platforms, you have a graph here where you see on the right side, the total number of users, and on the left side, the average artist revenue per play. And we've highlighted Apple Music in orange and Spotify numbers in green. So as you can see, Spotify pays around 40% less than Apple Music. But on the other hand, it's the biggest, it's the platform with the highest number of users, just after YouTube. But it's the one with the highest number of users paying subscribers, and it has also the biggest growth at the moment. That means, for you, more chances to be discovered. And the second reason why it's essential to be on Spotify, it's the only platform at the moment that really invests time and money into developing online tools to customize your artist profile with the platform Spotify for Artists. We know that currently Apple Music is also working on their own tool that's going to be called Apple Music for Artists. But it's still a beta version, should be available very soon, but they have a lot to catch up compared to Spotify. And to finish, Spotify is now the most successful platform that managed to build a very solid playlist system. We said earlier, more than 2 billion playlists. And why playlists are so important? Well, if you ask around you how people manage to discover new music, playlists are always one of the top or even the best way to discover new music. And you heard this probably earlier, but the Spotify streams are about to become the new radio plays. That means more playlists means more streams, and so more fans for you and more revenues. So this is why it's important for you to be on Spotify. By the way, Catherine and me have been working at iMusician as artist relation managers. That means we help artists to distribute their music on Spotify and other online shops. And since 1 year or even more, we noticed a significant increase of interest among our artists for how to use the Spotify for Artists platform, how to customize an artist profile, and what's the mysterious algorithm behind the Spotify playlist system. Unfortunately, it's not possible. There's no magic potion for you to be directly featured on the Spotify biggest playlists, but you can definitely maximize your chances by taking your time and work step by step. And so today we prepared a 45 minutes presentation with a short case study, and we'll keep the question at the end if that's okay for you. And now I'm going to let Catherine explain you where should we start.
Thank you, Selma, for this introduction. Hello, everybody. So before we're going to talk today about the playlists, but before I would like to talk a bit about how to distribute your music on Spotify and all the streaming and developing platforms. So nowadays, unfortunately, there is no direct way for indie artists or indie labels to put their music online on the streaming and download platforms. That's why the digital distributors are here. Maybe you already heard about the term aggregator. Also maybe you know the big ones such as TuneCore or CD Baby or SpinUp. There are plenty of those outside. So what we recommend to do always is to do a quick benchmark to see which distributor is the perfect fit for you. It will always depend on the genre, the music genre you have, or while you were doing these researches, there are a few things that are very important to pay attention to. So first would be the price the distributor will take, the commission they take on your release, if they have some recurring fees, the shops they distribute, and the support they give you, and the additional services they offer. So also the distributor will take care for you to collect all your royalties generated from streaming and downloading, and they will do that every month for you. So let's say you have found the perfect fit for your project. Normally it shouldn't take you longer than 30 minutes to upload your music on the platform. For that you have just to be well organized. So very important to have is your audio files. High resolution is always recommended. You should have your artwork ready. Very important too would be your label copy. So basically it's an Excel sheet with all the information and metadata about your release, such as the artist name, the track title, the publisher, composer, and lyricist name. An additional thing which is very important for digital distribution are two codes. So first the ESRC code, which belongs to each of your tracks. It's a kind of ID for your track. And the barcode, which is the code for your whole release. Also what you have to think before you upload your release is the strategy you have behind it. So think about how you want to release it online. Should it only be on streaming platforms, only be for downloading, both? Do you want your release to be on generalist platforms or just on specific platforms? For electronic music, for example, Beatport. Should it just be on global shops or both? You have also some shops that are just available in China, etc., etc. These things you have to think in advance. Very important for your strategy. So you have to think about the whole process of your release. Maybe next to that you will have a video clip coming out. some promotion in a magazine or a YouTube channel that will feature you, some gigs. This might influence, and you should take it into account to find the perfect release date for you. There is no good or wrong thing to do. You just have to be creative and just to think about it a long time in advance, so you make sure that the whole process is gonna work and your release successfully out. So yeah, if you're well organized, your distributor will distribute your music online and you can just wait for your release day. So now you will ask me, okay, my music online, but how can I how can I make the difference between other releases and other artists? I don't know if you already heard or used Spotify for Artists here. Yeah, a few people. Okay, we're going to talk about that. So first I would like to ask you which one of those profiles is the most kept in your attention? Which one do you think that the editorial team will notice? I think it's quite obvious, but it's important to make the difference. So you can show left or right. Left, yeah. So yeah, obviously Fortet is his artist page is more customized and detailed than the one from the right. So that's how the Spotify for Artists page looks like. Spotify gave a lot into to make it possible for artists to manage their own settings on their artist profile. They created this interface called Spotify for Artists. As soon as your release is online and your artist page has been created, you can get access and then start to upload things I will just explain after. So here are all the settings you can manage from your side with Spotify for Artists, starting with the blue verification tick you see above the artist name. So before you had at least 250 followers to get it, but now everybody can have it as soon as they request their access to it. So me, you, everybody who's making music can have this blue verification tick. Now we are going to talk about the images. So there are three, I think you are all using Spotify. So there are three times you can see some images. First would be in the research section. And then you have here the header image. Feel free to upload the images you have. For sure, it's always depending on how much material you have. And while you were thinking about the images you upload, think about what people should see at first, second, etc. from you. Here, for example, I think that Fortet you see all his profile is kind of bluish, and I think it's just to remind people of the artwork he's using for his releases. So yeah, if you have your material, don't worry. If you don't have the right size, well, you will have the access. There are all the information about the image sizes, etc. online. Another thing would be the biography section, which is called About section on Spotify. Here you can write something about your band. It can be some kind of Wikipedia page where you met, which instruments, who is playing. But you can also be very creative and, or for example, share some funny facts about your last tour. In Spotify for Artists, you will see that you have control about everything and you are free to include whatever you want. So yeah, here Fortet chose to make a bio section just with smileys and kind of characters. Also, you can put some external links here in your bio section. That's a very great tool feature, so you can make sure people follow you everywhere. Another thing is the artist pick. This came out last year. And so here it's a great promotional tool. As you can see, is one of the first things you see when you get on the artist page. You can include here your favorite album, for example, or you can also put there your concert dates. I will talk about it also after. So when people arrive on your page, they they see what you want to promote them. Here I have an example from the artist pick of Caribou. This artist has also a side project called Daphne, which is not that known. He decides on his Caribou page to put in, to include the tracks from Daphne, so he makes sure that people who follow Caribou will also get to know the side project he has. So that was for what people see from you directly, but you can also, with Spotify for Artists, engage people to follow you in the offline mode. You can directly include your next concert dates. For that, Spotify is working together with Songkick. They're called Tourbox. Maybe you already heard about it. Don't worry, we'll provide all the links at the end of the presentation for you. And you can just register there, and in typing in all your upcoming gigs. What's also nice is with the Tourbox, you can not just include it on Spotify, but you can also put it on your Bandcamp, SoundCloud, and even Shazam is supporting this Tourbox. Another great thing is you can include directly your merch here. For that, Spotify is working together with Merch Bar. With every other kind of merchandising website, there is a deal you would have to do with them. So for sure it will depend on how much you have in stock, but as we saw before in the About section, you can also put some external links. So if you don't have enough in stock, just put it there so people can also buy merch from another website. And there are other new features that came out also, I think, like a few months ago. So there's the image gallery. Fortet here is showing his ice cream during a production break, maybe. Here also feel free to put whatever images you like. Maybe some exclusive ones if you have, and just be creative and think about the people who just came across your profile. Also here, you can put some links, so you make sure that people don't just follow you on Spotify, but also on Instagram, Twitter. It doesn't appear here, but for sure you can also include Facebook. So that was for the part that people can see from you, but as an artist, you want also to see how the people are reacting to your music, how they listen to it. So you have also in Spotify for Artists the Analytic part. So here you see we can first talk about the gender. After, let's say, 6 months your release is out, you can see how people behave. Take this as an advantage and take it for your next release to go further in your strategy. Let's make an example. I'm a jazz band from south of Germany, and I see, okay, there are 80% of listeners that are women. So here you can think about to make some special merchandising for female, for example. Another thing is this map you see here. Sometimes you will see that the people are listening to you way else than you are have your band. So here also take it as an advantage. Let's keep on this jazz band from south of Germany. After 1.5 years, I see that mostly of my listeners are from Munich, but my most listeners are, for example, in Brussels, in Belgium. Take it for a social media campaign, for example, on your band page, saying like, okay, guys, who wants to see us live playing in Brussels? What are the best locations for us, etc. So this is for what you can change, but unfortunately, life, we all know that there are some things we can't change. For example, the number of monthly listeners you would have on your profile. This you will not be able to change it. Also, the bands you sound like, the related artist section. This is with the Spotify algorithm and how people are listening to your music and to which other bands they are listening. The third thing we can't change is the way your tracks will be ranked on top of your artist profile. So you can keep in mind that the first track is the most streamed track in the last 2 weeks, and the second one, the most all-time streamed music. So yeah, now I will give the hand to Selma.
Thank you, Catherine. So now, let's presume you all follow the Catherine's good advice, meaning your music is distributed on Spotify, you set up well your artist profile, and you learned a lot from Analytics. So it's time to talk about what's the best strategy to pitch and promote your music on playlists. But just before that, I would like to point your attention on the fact that there are 3 different types of playlists. The first one are the automatically generated playlists, such as Release Radar or Discover Weekly, or all the charts from different countries. And as their name suggests, they are generated by Spotify algorithm, and unfortunately it's not possible to influence them. Even artists from big major labels cannot influence those. The second type are the playlists made by Spotify editorial teams. They have teams in each country and some specific one for different music genre. And you have here the example of New Music Friday, but you have also all the moods and genres playlists. These playlists are, of course, really interesting and have a lot of followers. But at the indie artist level, especially if it's for your first release, it's quite complicated to be directly featured on it. But we'll get back to it in a few minutes. And the third type are the playlists made by Spotify users. Maybe you've heard the term curator. A curator is anyone, any Spotify users. They can be influenced. It can be, of course, a media channel. It can be also a brand, some indie labels, or even maybe your neighbor has a playlist with a high number of followers in your music genre, and he can be considered as a curator. So we are going to really focus on this third type of playlist today. But the very first thing we usually recommend to artists to make sure they have at least one playlist is to start by creating your own playlist. It's gonna sound a bit obvious, but first of all, it can be a cool thing to do if you have maybe just one single or one EP and you want to make your profile, you want to make more content, create more content on your artist profile. In this playlist, of course, you are free to add your music, and small tip, always let it on top, maybe the first or the second place. And you can be very creative and add all the bands maybe you know or you like, some with whom you play on the road. It depends also how you want to, which direction you want to give to your playlist, because you can be very creative again. You can make a specific playlist for, I don't know, Christmas time or summer time, a playlist for running, or you are very free, and you can update the picture, the artwork, and the description. And for the bands that you add in this playlist, it's always cool to take at least 5 minutes to send them an email or a message on Facebook to tell them that they are featured on your playlist. Why? For 2 reasons. The first reason is, of course, they will be happy to learn that, and they can share the playlist on their socials. So that means more followers on your playlist and more listeners on your music, so potential new fans. And the second reason is maybe they will also listen to your music and do the same for you and add your music in their playlist. So it's quite a win-win situation, and you can try to think about many partnerships like that. It's cool to help each other. And remember, a playlist with a high number of followers, it's cool, but it's even better if you have a lot of frequent listeners. And in order to have a lot of frequent listeners, you need to update your playlist. We suggest at least once a week. You can specify in the description of your playlist that, for instance, every Monday or Tuesday you will add 2 new songs, and that force people to come back, and so of course to listen again to your playlist, and that's also how you can also become maybe a curator. And once you are satisfied with your playlist, it's important also to communicate about it. Of course, social medias are a great way for that. Facebook, Twitter, also maybe you saw in Instagram, it's now possible to share directly your Spotify track on stories, so that when people see your story, they can click and directly access to your music on Spotify. Also on YouTube, you have a tool where you can add, for instance, on your video clip, the link to your music. You can also add it in description, but here it works with AdWords, and yeah, it's good to always try to push people to your Spotify artist profile. In addition to that, Spotify offers you many tools. Like you have here the example of the follow button that you can find on your dashboard of artists on Spotify for artists. Also remember what Catherine showed you, the artist pick earlier. You can add it, and you can also add a specific message full of emoticons, whatever you want. And you can find also embedded players to add on your own website or on media channels or blogs. So try to communicate about it as much as possible. And speaking of media, if you are about to release a new single, EP, or album, and maybe you invest, you hire a PR agent, or maybe you'll do the PR by yourself, it's very important to now think about to always take advantage of your PR campaign. Because every time you contact a journalist, you can just add one sentence to say, hey, you can also add my music in your playlist. There are more and more media channels that are now developing Spotify profiles, not only the big ones like Pitchfork, but also the small blogs and local media. So it's cool to take the opportunity for that. And also it's important to remember that journalists usually work as a network, and if some journalists see that another one is listening to your music, maybe he will listen to it. So yeah, it's always cool to take full advantage of it. And don't stop only to media channels. As we said earlier, it's very important to now enlarge your list of curators. You will if you search a bit on Spotify, you will find tons of professional or unprofessional curators. You will find some brands, some YouTube channels, some major or indie labels, and even Beatport, a downloading platform, has now an official Spotify profile. And it's super important to think big for that. The strategy is quite similar to a PR strategy. The first thing you should do is try to analyze and define who is your audience, your main target public. We know that usually when we ask artists, what is your main audience people tend to say, yeah, my music is for everyone. It can be true, but let's say if you are limited in terms of budget and time, it's essential to go directly to the people who you are more willing to be featured on their playlist. And so You can prepare a list of curators in, for instance, an Excel sheet with the list, the link to their Spotify profile and their contact. You're gonna ask me how can I find their contact. Usually, if it's a professional curator, you will find all the details, the infos in the description of their playlist or their profile. Feel free also to contact them via Facebook, Twitter, or even LinkedIn. And also, there are now more and more websites where you can directly fill out some forms and just add links to your music in a specific music genre. You have here the example of Soundplate, but we put it at the end of the presentation, a list of 10 curators where you can pitch your music. And the last thing is also for the normal users like me, like your neighbors. You can. It's important to think that a lot of people are lazy when it's time to create an account on any website, and so it's a good thing because I'll say 60% of the time when you try to find a user account, you're gonna see that it's linked to their personal Facebook account. I put the example here. I just searched with the keywords Afro House music, and the first playlist I found with a high number of followers, when I clicked on the owner of the playlist, I arrived on this Karen's profile, and I just searched on Facebook, and ta-dam, I found her. So it's super easy to find them, and if you have time, it's very important to make the list of curators as long as possible. It's just important that it's relevant to your music. And once you are done with this list, you can send what we call a pitch. A good pitch is around 5 minutes. Is normally between 5 and 10 lines, and should have your, of course, a link to your music, but also all the description, music genre, maybe the artists you sound like, especially if those artists are in the playlist, the existing playlist of the curator. And last thing, if you are lucky and have already some fans on Facebook or Instagram, not much, but let's say above 300 or 500, it's always cool to remember it in this speech and to just suggest that you would be happy to share the playlist with your friends. Why? Because the curators, of course, they do the curation, the music curation, because they love music, but they also have a goal, and their goal is to be to enlarge, to increase their brand awareness. And that means if you say that you are willing to share the playlist and do their promotion in another way, it's always a good argument for them. So just add one sentence on it, and a thank you. And when you are done with it, you can check your analytics, but we'll get back to it after. I would like to ask you and try to do a quick brainstorming. I don't know if someone here in this room has a new release coming out very soon and would like to introduce us, his project and what music genre and from which city they are from, so we can all brainstorm on what would be the good potential partners for its music. Yeah, I don't know. I'll take the closest.
Do you mean like a single or an album release?
Yeah. Can you present it in a few words?
Wow, so much attention all of a sudden. Hello, I'm Hayung. I'm gonna spell that Hayung. And you can already find me on Spotify. But I'm gonna release an album probably early next year. And right now, I'm trying to find a label for that. And also, I need some ideas. And I have to talk about the music, right? That's what you're asking. It's hard to describe, as always. It's band. I think it sounds kind of in the James Blake and what contemporary radio had, and I don't know, like St. Vincent and all these type of things. Dirty Projectors, who were playing yesterday, and anything else. I'm singing and playing guitar in the band. I have to publish my first music video and single yet, so I haven't yet gotten any reviews, like official ones. But I'm planning to send out a press release when I publish the video on YouTube. I have a list, yeah. Yeah, I'm having some shows in October in Berlin one, and then in Nuremberg and Leipzig. Yeah.
Thank you. Just to explain you, usually what we do is we divide Spotify users into three different circles. The first circle are the people who already know you and already like your music. And the first circle are the people who don't know you but may like your music, and the third are the rest of Spotify users. So it's just to help you to think about who would you put in the first circle. If you guys want to participate, feel free to share ideas. Who would you put in the first circle? Exactly. Yeah, it's a really good one. The three Fs: fans, friends, family, and more ideas. Both. Yeah. I think it's cool to tell everyone. Yeah. I think we can put them into fans, but yeah, definitely.
What if we're edit? Why don't we edit? What if I don't find my audience and my circle of friends because that I actually have that's a problem of mine. That the music that I make is not the kind of circle of friends that I am around.
Well. If they are good friends, I'll say they will say no. Yeah, no, but it's good to. It's important to rely on your friends, even if it's not specifically their music genre. I guess they will come to your concerts to encourage you, and just it's cool to try to invest them. As much as possible if you are close friends and your family. I'm sure they will help. But just to enlarge the list for the first circle, we said fans and friends, and artists and bands from your network. You said you don't know them already, but you're part of pop culture, so from the Nachwuchs. So I'm pretty sure you will find by the end of the week some to add in this list. Labels, if you are already contacting some of them, it's important because usually labels they also have Spotify profiles, professional ones, and for the small ones that have maybe 10 artists, they also want to make their playlist dynamic, and so they have to add new music, let's say weekly. So maybe they will like your music. Maybe it's not gonna end in a deal, but they can also add your music on their playlist. We said, media and journalists when you're gonna do the PR, your PR campaign. And events, if you play in a venue or even small bars, there are more and more that have Spotify profiles, and if they don't have, you can also suggest them to create one, because it's always a good part of communication for those kind of places to have to be present on Spotify. And all the partners, if you are planning to print some T-shirts or CDs, you can check, or if they have a Spotify profile, you can contact them. And for the second circle, so people, you have ideas maybe for people who don't know you but may like you. How would you find the Spotify users? Yeah.
People that have your favorite artists on their playlists, for instance.
Yeah.
The people from Facebook who you see are liking the artists that you like, you might find them on Spotify as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, we can say that, but it's exactly that. If you think that you sound like some bands, big ones or even small ones, you can check, in the about section, in the back section of these bands on Spotify, and you will see the list of the playlists where they are featured. So it's already a good start if you want to create your list of playlists.
Maybe also the parents don't know me, but they may like me.
Yeah. So we said artists in the same music genre, curators in your music genre, all the user playlist by mood and topics. If you have a specific music on for politics or for summer, you can search for all the playlists for summer, for instance. And all local actors, it's super important to rely on your local network, as we said earlier. For instance, take really the opportunity of Pop-Kultur Nachwuchs to connect and enlarge your network. So thank you for this brainstorming. Just to remind you the do's. So we usually recommend you to start by creating your own playlist, communicate about it, and optimize your PR campaign, build a curator list. And once you've done this, we said always check Analytics, because you will find the list with all the playlists with more than 25 followers. Where your music is featured. Maybe for those who use already our Spotify for Artists, you found the pop culture playlist in this section. And if you want to go a bit further, for instance, for an album release, it can be good to use some external websites such as Soundcharts or Chartmetrics. They cost a bit, but you can use them for a free trial. And with Soundcharts, for instance, you'll get some daily reports, and not only for Spotify but also for other platforms. So it can be a good tool, and it's matched also with your performance on socials. And now for the don'ts, what we don't recommend. We don't recommend to pay any curator to be featured on a playlist, even small amounts, because we tend to think that the quality of a playlist has to be based on the curation taste and not on the money artists are willing to pay to be featured on this music. Because also maybe you'll find out that this playlist has a lot of followers, but actually followers that don't listen to music, and it can be fake. So I think you can definitely use this money better by, for instance, creating Facebook campaigns or buying some merch. And the second thing we don't recommend, you'll find a lot of these phishing advertising on the internet bring how to increase the list of the number of your followers. This is very important. Don't pay to increase your number of followers, because it's made by robots, and this is something Spotify is really trying to fight against, the fake streams, and they had some issues in the past, and so you risk a lot. Your music can be removed, and your artist profile can be blacklisted. So don't do that. And now I'll let Catherine introduce you 2 new features that can be really helpful for you.
Thank you, Selma. So before we finish, this summer there were 2 new tools coming out from Spotify we want to present you. So first it's the Spotify pre-save link. This is how the page looks like. To get that, you can, some distributors are offering it. You can contact them. And within this link, you can see the upcoming release. You can include the dates, promotional text. Your artwork is going to be shown, and also include your website, Facebook, or Instagram account. So when you will get this link, you can communicate it to your friends, because people can click on Save It Now, and so they have it automatically in their playlist also before your release date. So you make sure that on the release date your fans are on it and can begin to stream and discover your new music. And another thing that came out 2 weeks ago, so it's a beta version, but now you can directly pitch to Spotify editorial team. We think that it's a great tool to support independent artists to get more chances to be featured. So there are a few requirements. First, you would need to have a Spotify for Artists access, because you will do the pitch from there. It's just for unreleased tracks and upcoming releases. There is no back catalog. They will not take it in account. You can do the pitch from now on. Be sure to take you think most successful track, because for one release you can just pitch one, and you have also the possibility to add some promotional text. Maybe you have a review in a magazine, you can also include it here. It will match together with all the information the editorial team has from you. So thank you all for being here. You might know we made a Pop-Kultur Nachwuchs playlist on Spotify. Don't worry if it's your release is not online yet. You can still use this. You can still distribute a free single. We will also include it in the playlists. And also, we know that Pop-Kultur is a very international festival, and at iMusician we are also supporting that. So if you have any questions regarding distribution, feel free to contact us in English, French, Spanish, Italian, German, if you want to speak in your mother tongue about your next projects. If you have some questions, feel free to come to Selma and I, and we will answer you. Thank you.